welcome. Tonight, sole administrator of River State, Ibok Etebas, inspects ongoing reconstruction of the State House of Assembly complex, asks the contractor handling the project to speed up work and deliver it on time. Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan wades into River's political crisis, urges Nigerian leaders to uphold the tenets of democracy. 2023 SDP presidential candidate Adewale Adebayo rules out any plan for merger with the ruling APC or any party ahead of the 2027 general elections. An Energy Secretary Ed Miliband orders the National Energy System Operator, NESCO, to urgently investigate the power outage caused by a substation fire that shut down Heathrow Airport on Friday.
And on business news, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee disburses 1.67 trillion naira for the month of February, lower than the amount shared in January 2025.
On sports news tonight, the boxing world mourns the loss of former heavyweight champion and icon George Foreman, who died at the age of 76.
The River State Assembly Complex project has been instructed to speed up work and deliver on its mutually agreed mandate. The sole administrator, Ibok Etebas, stated this during an inspection of ongoing reconstruction work on the Assembly Complex along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt local government area. He insisted that part of his mandate includes restoring full and effective legislative activities in the state. The project has 34 offices in a two-story building with an elevator, gallery, meeting rooms and conference halls.
I was appointed in the first place to be here to maintain law and order that will enable us go back to what the state is supposed to be. In the last 2 days, you're also aware that I had been at the executive arm of the state governance structure, and one of the pillars that is missing for now is the legislature, and for them to function effectively they also need a place to work from. Perhaps I'm here to be sure that work is going on as expected, so that by the end of the 6 months, this place will be ready for those who need to use it. I think basically that's what it is. I think the state has done its own bit by providing the necessary funds. I was briefed, and so the onus is on them to make sure that they keep to the terms.
In the meantime, former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan says no country can have a good image if its leaders continuously fail to do the right thing constitutionally. Dr. Jonathan stated this during an annual colloquium in Abuja, where he expressed disappointment with the events in River State, stating that he believes the judiciary, which should be the last hope of the common man, is not inspiring enough confidence due to the recent turn of events. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, has this report.
The 2025 edition of the annual colloquium of the Haskins Atsumari Foundation is attracting distinguished personalities from across Nigeria and Africa. The chairman of the occasion is former President Goodluck Jonathan, who waded into the River State emergency crisis. He's urging Nigerian leaders across the three arms of government to uphold the tenets of constitutional democracy.
Former president and also from the Niger Delta, when the issue of suspending the governor came up, I think people call on me, oh, President Jonathan, oh, President Obasanjo, you should say something. The key actors in Nigeria, from executive to the legislature, luckily Senator Binta and others are here, and the judiciary, they know the correct thing to do. But they are refusing to do it. They are pretending to sleep. And waking such a person is extremely difficult because the person knows the right thing. A clear abuse of offices, clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges, cutting across from the three arms of government. from the executive through the parliament through the judiciary.
He also has strong words for the judiciary.
For example, no businessman can bring his money to invest in a country where the judiciary is compromised, where a government functionary can dictate to judges what judgment they will give. No man brings his money to invest in that economy because we are taking a big risk.
The keynote speaker is a visually impaired senator from Kenya. She makes a case for inclusion of women, youths, and persons with disability in the decision-making process by enacting relevant laws.
Without well-structured and adequately funded social protection programs, we remain highly vulnerable to economic hardships, making it merely impossible to break the cycle of poverty within the PWD community. So, to address these systemic underrepresentation in leadership, political parties must adopt affirmative action policies here in Nigeria that ensure our inclusion in party structures and election lists.
The theme of this year's colloquium is promoting social change and development through diversity, equity, and inclusion. The convener and some dignitaries speak on the significance of the event.
Diversity, inclusion, and equity is very critical in development. You see, she did mention about 10% of our GDP are affected by lack of inclusion. And if you look at our society, you will find out that everybody feels one form of marginalization or the other.
If you were a leader that upholds the tenacity of governance, you will always be celebrated. So my advice to leaders in office is that let's uphold the tenacity of governance. Let's do what will make us to be celebrated even after office.
As in Nigeria, shouldn't have any issue of injustice or inequality in terms of political activities, because we are all equal before the eye of our Constitution, and because the Constitution has given us that right, then there shouldn't be any discrimination. But again, political will should be one thing that's supposed to be played on.
The resolution here is that more needs to be done to ensure that the voice of the vulnerable and disadvantaged are heard for national development. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Staying with political issues, the 2023 presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Adewale Adebayo, has ruled out any plan for merger or collaboration with the ruling All Progressives Congress or any party ahead of the 2027 general elections. He was speaking in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, during a meeting with state executive members and party faithful. He also denounced insinuations that the SDP is an appendage of the ruling All Progressives Congress, saying that the party remains committed to the welfare and well-being of all Nigerians.
We are a strong party. We are older than any of the party available. Our mission is clear. We are not in government with them. I led the party in the last election. I'm still standing here. I'm not a minister under Tinubu or under APC anywhere. All the state chairmen are intact. National chairman is intact. National secretary. So we are standing on our own. We don't have a problem with anybody. The reason why people look at us is because we don't attack people. We tackle issues. We cannot merge with anybody. We are merging with Nigerian people. You cannot be on the side of the poor and on the side of big men at the same time, the way Nigeria is today. If anybody tells you, I'm a party that wants to help the poor people, and is tangling around with those who are oppressing the people, that person doesn't know what he wants. SDP is clearly on the side of the people. Anybody, whatever their past, who has repented and wants to work for the people, they will come and join us. We will see how they are doing it. If they are working for the people, we absorb them. If they have the old habits, lepers that will not change their spots, we will cast them away. The people we want are the Nigerian people. Nobody is too big but Nigerian people. We want Nigerian people. Women, youths, men, professionals, patriots to join the party. Whether you are big in your house or you are small where you are coming from, we don't care. We are about big ideas, not about human beings.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, has set aside an earlier ruling that restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from receiving the recall process initiated by constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The judgment delivered on Friday affirms that the recall process is valid and aligns with the civic rights of the people. It urged the constituents to continue exercising their rights in an orderly and peaceful manner. In a previous ruling on Thursday, the same court had granted an interim injunction restraining INEC from receiving, accepting, or acting on any petition containing signatures of members of Kogi Central Senatorial District. The case has been adjourned to May the 6th for further mentioning. Ahead of the local government election in Lagos State, the Not Too Young to Run movement has called for a peaceful exercise in all 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas of the state. During a media briefing in Lagos, the group said the youths must be given equal opportunity to participate in the polls and also kick against the use of hate speech.
We, Not Too Young to Run Lagos State movement, calls for peaceful elections in the 2025 local government and youth support participation and inclusion in governance and politics. As we approach the 2025 local government elections, it is imperative to emphasize the importance of peace, unity, and respect for democratic values. Elections should be a time for citizens to freely express their will without fear, violence, or intimidations. We call upon all political actors, security agencies, and citizens to ensure that the electoral process remains peaceful and credible. We urge all political parties and their supporters to embrace issues-based campaigns, reject hate speech, and work towards a fair and transparent electoral process. The role of security agencies in ensuring a safe environment for voters cannot be overemphasized, and we encourage them to remain neutral, professional, and committed to upholding the rule of law.
We call on political parties to create opportunities for young people to participate meaningfully in governance by providing platforms for youth leadership, supporting youth candidacy in elections, and ensuring that their voices are heard in political discussions. Furthermore, we encourage young people to engage in voter registration, civic education, and constructive dialogue that promotes national development.
To other issues now, Justice Halilu Yusuf of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has begun indefinite hearing in the case of alleged defamation instituted by two operatives of the Department of State Services against the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. The officers instituted the case last September when SERAP failed to apologize to the secret police after accusing its operatives of invading its Abuja office. At the resumed hearing, Justice Yusuf advised the defense to go through all the 6 documents tendered by the plaintiffs. He stressed that all objections will be part of the final written address. Both defense counsels cross-examined the DSS operative Sarah on happenings around the surroundings and the alleged invasion of SERAP office last year. After a session that lasted about an hour, the judge adjourned till May the 8th for continuation of definite hearing on the matter. Nigerian Air Force personnel have been directed to intensify air bombardment against bandits while ensuring maximum protection for civilians. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Bala Abubakar, issued this charge during his visit to the Air Component Headquarters in Katsina and Sokoto states. He commended the dedication of the troops in tackling banditry and urged them to sustain the momentum, emphasizing that air power remains a decisive force in dismantling criminal strongholds and providing crucial support to ground troops in the ongoing counter-banditry campaign. The Air Chief also conducted a first-hand assessment of operational aircraft and ongoing infrastructural projects, ensuring that personnel are adequately supported in their mission. In part 2, after the break, 3,000 young entrepreneurs are set to benefit from the Tony Elumelu Foundation for the 11th cohort of the program. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Sole Administrator of Rivers State, Iboke Etebas, inspects ongoing reconstruction of the State House of Assembly complex, asks contractor handling project to speed up work and deliver it on schedule. Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan wades into Rivers' political crisis, urges Nigerian leaders to uphold the tenets of democracy. Presidential candidate of the SDP in the 2023 elections rules out any plan for merger with the ruling APC or any party ahead of the 2027 general elections. An energy secretary in the UK, Ed Miliband, orders the National Energy System Operator to urgently investigate the power outage caused by a substation fire that shut down Heathrow on Friday. Young entrepreneurs are set to benefit from the Tony Elumelu Foundation, having been selected from over 200,000 applications. The founder, Mr. Tony Elumelu, made the announcement at an event to unveil the selected applicants in Abuja. According to him, the foundation aims to provide economic growth to young Africans by catalyzing job creation across the continent and ensuring inclusive economic empowerment. Our correspondent, Victoria Longjohn, has this report.
It's the unveiling of the 11th cohort of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. This year's selection, an important milestone for the foundation as it marks its first decade, is set to empower 3,000 young entrepreneurs across Africa.
We have been entirely focused on democratizing luck and institutionalizing access to economic opportunity for thousands of young Africans. These entrepreneurs and their businesses demonstrate over and over again that indeed their ideas are the lifeblood of the African continent.
The foundation prides itself in empowering a new generation of successful African entrepreneurs, and the founder, Mr. Tony Elumelu, says the impact of the program extends beyond funding to changing lives and shaping Africa's future.
We're excited that we have been able, working with our partners, to lift at least 2 million people directly out of poverty. Because at the Tony Elumelu Foundation, we share common beliefs. One is that poverty anywhere is a threat to all of us everywhere. And two is that no one but us will develop Africa. So what we do at the Tony Elumelu Foundation and the validation from the successes we see and listen to our young entrepreneurs who have just shared their testimony here is inspired, supported, motivated by these accomplishments. So we are going to unveil and good luck.
The successful entrepreneurs are then unveiled. The selected entrepreneurs will receive $5,000 non-refundable seed capital each, a world-class business training and mentorship. Since its launch in 2015, the Tony Elumelu Foundation has disbursed over $100 million to over 21,000 young entrepreneurs across the continent and generated over $4.2 billion in revenue. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
The federal government has launched the National Land Registration and Documentation Program to unlock the country's debt capital, estimated at over $300 billion. The program aims to register, document, and title all land parcels, empowering landowners to utilize their assets for economic growth. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Ahmed Dangiwa, stated this at a meeting on the National Land Registration and Documentation Program in Abuja. Our correspondent Benny Ark has this report.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is convening this high-profile meeting on the National Land Registration and Documentation Program as part of efforts to unlock Nigeria's economic potential and promote transparency and accountability in land administration. The meeting aims to chart a new course for land administration in Nigeria.
Today's high-level workshop is aimed at sensitization on the benefits of National Land Registration and Documentation Program.
This initiative seeks to advocate the modernization and streamlining of land registration processes across the country by harmonizing land records, digitizing documentation system, and enhancing accessibility to land information.
The National Assembly is promising to provide the necessary support that will ensure the success of the program, especially in land and social frameworks, conducting of oversight functions to ensure accountability, collaborating with state assemblies to harmonize land-related matters.
As chairman of the Committee on Land, Housing and Urban Development, I strongly support the integration of cutting-edge technologies such as GIS and blockchain into the land registration process. These innovations will enhance efficiency, ensure greater transparency and secure transactions, reducing disputes and fostering public confidence in the system.
The ministry is targeting to increase land registration process from less than 10% to over 50% over the next 10 years, and the minister is seeking partnerships to unlock the economic potential of land administration.
Over 90% of land in Nigeria is registered and untitled, making it impossible for landowners to leverage their assets for economic purposes. Experts estimate that this has resulted in a debt capital exceeding $300 billion. Addressing this issue is not just about administrative efficiency, it is a critical step towards economic transformation. We aim to register, document, and title all land parcels to unlock Nigeria's debt capital, empowering landowners to utilize their assets for economic growth. For the federal government, this will increase revenue generation through land taxes, registration fees, and titling charges.
The meeting is expected to identify the challenges and opportunities in Nigeria's land administration and mobilizing interagency collaboration to drive land reforms. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
The Imo State government has reaffirmed its commitment to infrastructural development, erosion control, and enhancement of key public structures across the state. During an inspection tour of ongoing projects in Imo West, Imo North, and Imo East Senatorial District, the Governor, Hope Uzodinma, told residents that his government remains dedicated to delivering critical infrastructure to boost economic growth and improve the standard of living. Our correspondent, Eitope Kutei, has this report.
It's a busy period for the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, as he traverses the 3 senatorial districts of the state, inspecting ongoing road projects and other key infrastructure. In Imo West Senatorial District, particularly Olutau in Olu local government area, the governor inspects the reconstructed Olu local government secretariat that was razed by persons suspected to be arsonists in the thick of insecurity in the state. He also inspects the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Banana Junction to Eziachi dual carriageway before proceeding to inspect the government house annex in Eziachi, which is currently under construction. Next, he visits the Imo State University Teaching Hospital, where he inspects the ongoing construction of the 200-bed emergency and infectious disease center. While at the hospital, it takes time to interact with patients and later clear the outstanding medical bills. Still in the zone, the governor also inspects the rehabilitation of the Ingbe-Olu-Akoko Federal Road, which had been severely affected by gully erosion.
The construction quality and the technique that Kremborg deployed to arrest the situation here shows clearly that Kremborg is a world-class contractor that is technically proficient to address complicated constructions like this. So I'm highly impressed with the job in terms of both speed and the quality, and I'm confident that by the way they're going, that very soon the erosion menace in this area will be addressed and the motorable road made available to our people, and life will become more meaningful to Imolites and the travelers alike.
In Imo North and Imo East senatorial districts, Governor Uzodinma inspects the over 55-kilometer Owerri-Mbise-Obowo-Umare Federal Road, which had been in a deplorable state for several years. Here, he reiterates his administration's resolve to deliver high-quality roads and infrastructure that will not only ease transportation, but also stimulate economic activities in the area.
We will continue to do our best, God's willing, given the lean resources at our disposal, to get more optimal value in terms of expenditure, in terms of value for money, and by the grace of God, our people will be happy.
Meanwhile, motorists and residents applaud the state government for its numerous road rehabilitation projects, while traditional ruler of Ite Afuku also commends the governor for his commitment to infrastructure development.
Under his administration, Imo State have witnessed extraordinary road construction that's met international standards that can only be compared with that of the U.S.
As residents anticipate the completion of these projects, many are hopeful that the governor's promises will translate into lasting transformation for the state. Ejitopakute, Channels Television News.
A growing call for gender-responsive procurement is gaining momentum, urging policymakers to create frameworks that actively promote women's participation in business, especially in the procurement process. Speaking at an event to advance gender-responsive procurement in the country, a program associate of the World Bank, Dumibi Okosa, explained that although there has been increased strides in the bid applications by women, there is need for the government and private sector to do better, as the policy will translate into improved livelihood.
It's a forum organized to seek the support of the government and members of the international community in advancing gender-responsive procurement in Nigeria.
I'll move on to...
The event has come in as policymakers across the globe continue to push for inclusivity for national development.
Fund at the World Bank.
The World Bank is making some interventions to support women's efforts in procurement processes, and the representative of the World Bank, who spoke virtually, explains the impact of the interventions.
Together, we have trained and empowered women entrepreneurs, and we have equipped them with critical digital skills to enhance their confidence and support them with navigating procurement processes. Today, we can proudly announce that we have increased strides in bid applications, in ensuring that women actually win bids. We even had the first time female entrepreneur moved to the final stage of a bid application, and this is no small feat.
One after the other, speakers from both government and international organizations lent their support for gender-inclusive procurement, pledging to support the policy.
While we push for the government, the private sector has a key role to play to ensuring that their frameworks in the organizations are gender-friendly. From budgeting, from assessing procurement opportunities for women, down to how we even recruit for placements in our organization. So it's a very important principle that the UN Women put together to ensure that the private sector understands the principles to, one, be held accountable in still pushing for gender-responsive budgeting and procurement opportunities for women.
Gender inequality in employment, hiring, and exposure to opportunities also plays a major part in limiting women's experience and reference when it comes to the aspect of procurement and info tender.
Despite the immense potential of Nigerian women in business, they continue to face systemic barriers such as limited access to finance, inadequate support structures, and entrenched biases in procurement processes. It is therefore crucial that both the public and the private sectors adopt inclusive procurement policies that level the playing field and unlock the vast potentials of women entrepreneurs.
Gender-responsive procurement practices lead to economic empowerment for women and serves as a boost to improving their livelihoods.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee FACS disburses 1.678 trillion naira for the month of February. That's lower than the amount shared in January 2025. We'll give you details on business news. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the world, and Nigeria is no exception. The country is positioning itself to take a share of this booming industry, with young innovators leading the charge. But many of them face a major challenge, assessing the training and support needed to turn their ideas into reality. In this next report, we take you into the world of young innovators who are leveraging on artificial intelligence to solve real-world challenges.
Meet Harun Adebakin, one of the young innovators tackling a life-threatening issue, cervical cancer. His AI-powered model, CerviDetect, aims to speed up cervical cancer screening, making early detection more accessible and efficient.
What my solution is actually aiming to tackle is the time that is required for a pathologist to look into pap smear slides. So the pap smear test is actually the standard procedure for cervical cancer screening, and it takes the pathologist on average 5 to 15 minutes to actually screen a patient's pap smears. And so we thought about it. How about we actually use AI to streamline the workflow and make it more efficient? And that's what we're trying to do with CerviDetect.
In classrooms, AI is also making a difference. St. Mark Adebayo, through Efiko Study Buddy, an advanced AI-powered tutor, is helping students like himself learn at their own pace, providing interactive, real-time responses.
I built Efiko so that students such as myself will have access to interactive learning platforms where they can get simpler explanations to courses and concepts.
From saving lives to improving education and media, AI is proving to be a game changer. But there's a problem. While ideas like this have the potential to drive real change, for many young innovators, building a solution is just the beginning. Computing power, access to data, and even scaling it, those are the real challenges. Take Saeed Aziz, the mind behind Yarn GPT, an AI text-to-speech model designed to speak with a Nigerian accent. It has the potential to bridge the communication gap, to make AI more accessible to millions of Nigerians.
Data and computing power, because training these models require like GPUs, and I don't have access to a GPU. I'm GPU poor, and paying for that GPU service costs money. I think I spent about maximum of $200 of GPU on the whole thing. And apart from that, another source of challenge, maybe minor, was like internet data, because I always have to be like active. I remember buying data and I was like, hope I'm not spending too much on data like this. Yes, and also another challenge I can also mention is the fact that access to power, electricity. I had to be going to my dad's office to actually work on the project. At home, there is no too much power. Where I stay is one day on, one day off.
And here's why the AI skills gap matters. The AI industry isn't just growing, it's exploding. According to Precedence Research, the global AI market is projected to hit $757.58 billion in 2025 and skyrocket to $3.68 trillion by 2034. And right here in Nigeria, Statista projects that our AI market will grow from $1.4 billion in 2025 to $4.6 billion by 2030, a massive 27.16% annual growth rate. But these aren't just numbers. They represent the real economic opportunities AI can bring. The challenge? We need more AI talent to take advantage of this booming industry. But without the right training, investment, and infrastructure, how do young innovators like Harun, St. Mark, and even Saeed turn their ideas into world-class solutions? That's why Nigeria released its draft national AI strategy in August 2024 with the 3 Million Tech Talent Program, 3MTT, the largest tech talent initiative in the world, training young Nigerians in AI, machine learning, and data science, amongst others.
You can see the awareness and interest in the average Nigerian to actually be part of the digital economy, but they also understand that they can't be part of it without acquiring the right skill sets that will allow them to be able to participate in it. When we started, it was about building workforce, but the reality of technology is the inspiration that people pick from it. So we're now seeing a lot of these people building solutions, and the hope is that as we continue to expose these people to cutting-edge skills, that we also start to sharpen the opportunity that is there for them to find gainful employment both home and abroad.
With the right investment in AI education and digital skill development, young Nigerians are proving that technology can be a powerful tool for social impact, and Nigeria has a chance to lead Africa's AI transformation.
One of the ways to improve the GDP of a country is to become a global talent exporter. And with this talent, we can actually become one, such that they can be able to compete in the global market, which is something that will also improve the digital economy of Nigeria.
AI's potential goes far beyond Nigeria. PwC estimates AI will contribute $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. That's more than the entire economic output of China and India combined. McKinsey also estimates that AI-driven advancements could increase global GDP by 19%, with developing nations like Nigeria having a chance to capture up to 15% of this growth. So the question is, how far can we go in ensuring that no talent is left behind? Because AI is more than just technology, it's an opportunity for economic growth, job creation, and real social impact.
There's a major boost for healthcare in Delta State as the Federal Medical Center Umiya is set to commence operations soon. A ministerial team from the Federal Ministry of Health disclosed this information during the inspection of the proposed permanent site and a temporary takeoff location, assuring residents of a swift rollout.
The long-awaited Federal Medical Center, Umiya, Delta State, is now one step closer to reality as a ministerial team led by the Director of Hospital Services at the Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Jimo Salahuddin, arrives at the town, accompanied by the lawmaker representing Udu-Ugeli Federal Constituency. They are here to respect the proposed sites for the facility, following President Bola Tinubu's directive to ensure that FMC Umiya joins other newly established medical centers across the country.
We are here for two major things. Number one, where do you want to give to us for us to start from? Because we are not going to wait until this place is fully developed. That means you now move with others. Similar Federal Medical Center has been established in Kabancha, and very soon it will take off. Likewise in Epe, they are already taking off. Likewise in Kole Ekiti, they are already working. We want those things that happen there to happen here.
Speaking on behalf of the community, the President General of Umiya, Joseph Okuku, thanks the presidents for approving the hospital and calls for the involvement of local contractors and residents.
We wish to humbly draw the attention of the Honorable Minister of Health to the following salient points as regards the federal government policy and catchment area for consideration and action. 1. Establishment of cordiality between the construction contractors and host community. 2. Preferential patronage of indigenous suppliers and contractors for procurement and supply of construction materials and consumables.
The team moves to inspect the temporary takeoff sites at General Hospital Otorudu, where operations are expected to begin within 3 to 6 months. The lawmaker representing Udu-Ugeli Federal Constituency describes this project as a major milestone for the area, promising that all critical stakeholders will be brought on board.
We are looking forward to working with the state government, who is granting us the certificate of occupancy there,
to build some of the facilities. The Niger Delta Development Commission, we're looking forward to their collaboration too. And of course, the federal government is certainly playing its own role. So we're going to have very speedy building of the structures here. This is the first tertiary healthcare institution in this part of the state, bordering the Delta South and in the middle of the Delta Central Senatorial District, all the way to Asaba before you get the Federal Medical Center there, which is some 3 hours.
With approvals in place and stakeholders aligned, all eyes are now on the federal and state governments to deliver on their promise of making FMC Umia operational in record time.
Time to check out what's happening in the world of business. Laddie Williams has all the details.
Thanks, Melinda. Well, in business news, the federal government, along with state and local government councils, have shared a total of 1.67 trillion naira Federation account revenue for February 2025, reflecting a slight decline from the 1.703 trillion naira allocated in January. The dip in revenue is primarily attributed to lower collections from value-added tax, petroleum profit tax, and company income tax. Despite a total gross revenue of 2.34 trillion naira, deductions of 89.09 billion naira for collection costs and 577 billion naira allocated for transfers, interventions, refunds, and savings have shaped the final disbursement figures. And Edo State is taking a major step towards energy independence with the signing of the Edo State Electricity Law 2025 by Governor Monday Okwebolo. The new law, which repeals the 2022 version, establishes a comprehensive framework for generation, transmission, distribution, and regulation of electricity within the state. Aligned with the Electricity Act 2023, the legislation empowers the state to manage its energy sector, reduce reliance on the national grid, and foster industrial and economic growth. With this move, Edo joins a growing number of states looking to attract private sector investment and promote competitive electricity markets. And small business owners can now heave a sigh of relief as the federal government's tax reform bill will assist them in addressing all disputes relating to tax. The chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, who made this announcement at a meeting in Abuja, explained that the proposed tax ombudsman is vested with the powers to receive, review, and investigate complaints against tax officials, tax authorities, and agencies, and strive to resolve the disputes through mediation or conciliation.
I think you should clap very well.
Small businesses and government officials converged to discuss the tax reform bills and how it affects the operations of small businesses in the country. The meeting, which is convened by the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency, SMEDAN, seeks to underscore the significance of the tax bill and how it seeks to protect the interests of business owners who've had to contend with issues of multiple taxation.
The business that you do, if you register with Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, we know CAC, right? If you register with CAC, that means you are like a company. Although some people register with CAC as a business name. If you register with CAC as a company, that's the one that has limited in the name. If your sales, what you are selling in a year, is no more than 100 million naira. So which means in a month, you are not selling more than about 8 million naira. Then your tax to government that we call CIT, corporate income tax, is 0. You will not have to pay.
Some of the proposals of the tax reform bills include exemption of small businesses from the payments of about 4 taxes. It also excludes those with less than 100 million naira profit annually from paying some taxes.
You can't tax poverty. You can't tax 0. Taxing 0 is 0. You have to be profitable to pay taxes. So let's help our small businesses get profitable. Let's help them to get to do businesses. That's when we can now see a lot of prosperity in Nigeria, especially in the MSME sector. And that's my number one expectation from today, that we're removing all the regulations, all the bottlenecks, eliminating all the new SaaS taxes, and our small businesses can go out there and flourish, and the Nigerian economy can start to bloom.
The taxes at the state and local government levels, those taxes are not properly defined. There is no a schedule that addresses that evenly. So those taxes are just arbitrary, arbitrage. And again, we believe that this reform bill will also take care of the non-state actors that are always collecting taxes from our members.
Small businesses are expecting the passage of the bills to further understand how the implementation will impact their businesses.
And to the markets now. Nigeria's local bourse closed the third week of March in red as the all-share index shed 0.94%, taking a month-to-date loss over 2.5% after 4 sessions of profit-taking. Nigeria Exchange Limited recorded a total turnover of 2.9 billion shares valued at 48 billion naira across 57,044 transactions this week, reflecting subdued trading compared to last week. 5 of the sectors we track closed bearish this week, with the industrial goods counter taking the biggest hit, down over 3%, followed by financial services counters. 32 equities appreciated in price during the week, led by Nimeth International Pharmaceuticals PLC, which gained 20.48%, while eTransact International Livestock Feeds and Red Star Express led the laggards. Trading in top 3 equities, namely Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC, Jais Bank PLC, and Fidelity Bank PLC, accounted for 1.47 billion shares traded. That's about 51% of the volume. And that's it for me on business news. Back to Melinda with the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Ladi. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has once again outlined the benefits of adopting smart farming techniques at homes and the need to encourage young people to adopt it early. She was speaking while inaugurating a newly constructed and furnished orphanage, a collaboration between the Renewed Hope Initiative and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals. She also stated the government's determination to provide a brighter future for every Nigerian child.
This moment is a demonstration of the power of collaboration and commitment to the well-being of our most vulnerable children in the society. This project also reflects the commitment of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to the well-being and development of all children, irrespective of their background, as an essential pillar of development in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. This also aligns with the SDG 1 to end poverty in all its forms, everywhere, by ensuring appropriate social protection systems and measures for all. And SDG 11, which ensures access to adequate, safe, and affordable housing for all. I urge you to uphold the virtues of kindness, compassion, and discipline to ensure that every child here grows into a responsible and empowered citizen of Nigeria. Nowadays, we have something called smart gardening. You can grow in a bucket, and this is the time to introduce this to the children. You don't need a big land for them to grow the food to eat. You can grow yams in buckets, you can grow potatoes in buckets. So if you don't know, we are going to send people to you, and they will teach you what to do. But it's very, very easy.
Time to find out what's happening in the world of sports. Kelly Giga has details.
Many thanks indeed, Melinda. Welcome to the world of sports. The boxing world is mourning the loss of former heavyweight champion George Foreman, who died on Friday at the age of 76. Now, known as Big George, in the ring, the Foreman builds one of the most remarkable and enduring careers in the sports, winning Olympic gold in 1968 and claiming the world heavyweight title twice, 21 years apart, the second making him the oldest champion in history at the age of 45. He lost his first title to Muhammad Ali in the famous Rumble in the Jungle fight in 1974, but overall he boasted an astonishing total of 76 wins, including 68 knockouts, almost double that of Ali Foreman retired in 1997, but not before he agreed to put his name to a best-selling grill, a decision that went on to bring him fortunes that dwarfed his boxing earnings. And he will be sorely missed. Away from boxing, our players and officials of the Super Eagles of Nigeria have arrived at the country ahead of next week's tie in Group C of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Zimbabwe. The delegation touched down at the Victor Atta International Airport in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, this afternoon. The team will camp at Ikorekpene as they get set to play host to the Brave Warriors in March, the 6th fixture at the Goswell Akwa Ibom International Stadium, Uyo. A victory next week will take Nigeria to 9 points and in firm contention for the ticket. So that's what you describe as a dominant performance, Alexander Zverev there. Well, the sports news. Thanks indeed for watching. I'm Kelly. It's back to Melinda.
Many thanks, Kelly. On the international scene, an investigation has been ordered by the UK Energy Secretary Ed Miliband regarding the power outage that closed Europe's busiest airport, Heathrow, on Friday. Counter-terrorism police are leading the investigation, but the Met Police say there is currently no indication of foul play. According to reports, nearly 1,400 flights were disrupted by the closure and around 120 flights were diverted elsewhere. Heathrow Airport said it was fully open and operational this morning, and 50 slots were added to the schedule to facilitate movement. The fire at the North Hyde substation in West London that supplies power to the airport led to thousands of cancelled flights and stranded passengers across the world on Friday. In the latest move against Democratic election rivals, U.S. President Donald Trump has revoked security clearances from former Vice President Kamala Harris, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, as well as a number of other senior former White House and national officials. The move comes after Mr. Trump said that he was revoking security clearance from his predecessor, Joe Biden, and any of his other family members. In the memorandum sent to the agency's heads and distributed by the White House Communications Office, President Trump said the named officials should no longer be granted access to classified material. Former U.S. presidents and top security officials usually keep their security clearance as a form of courtesy. And the main news again. The sole administrator of River State, Ibok Etebas, today inspected the ongoing reconstruction work at the State House of Assembly complex, where he challenged the contractor handling the project to deliver on time. Also today, former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan waded into the state of emergency in River State as he challenged political leaders nationwide to uphold the tenets of constitutional democracy. Dr. Jonathan said this at the 2025 annual colloquium foundation in Abuja. And UK Energy Secretary Ed Miliband has ordered the National Energy System Operator to urgently investigate the power outage caused by a substation fire that shook Heathrow Airport on Friday. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.